Craig, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you, and it means a lot. I know it's a little inconvenience on a Monday at 6 o'clock to join, but
Oh, it's fantastic. No problems.
no problem. Okay, well that's good. Um, I Craig is one of the flippers that has just an amazing story, and so I wanted to have him hop on here and tell his story to us because it can help us as flippers. And we're recording this and we're going to put it out also. But Craig, let's kind of go back before COVID. What you were up to?
Sure. So I had made my living my entire life as a professional entertainer, magician, juggler, comedian, and I worked primarily here in the Valley, but also performed all over the world. Vegas, I had my own show at the Atlantis in the Bahamas for a little while on the main stage. And for 7 years, I had a theater in Old Town Scottsdale where we did shows Friday and Saturday night. And we had gotten to the place before COVID where we were the number one rated show on Yelp and TripAdvisor in Scottsdale. And so that was pretty much my world. It was everything that I knew. I also built props for other magicians, including David Copperfield. I was really good with tools, and I loved to build props, magic props. And that was a little bit of a crossover with the construction stuff.
Yeah.
But,
Well, Craig is the most amazing magician, guys. He's the type of guy with the talent to be on at Vegas at a magician show, and just absolutely amazing magician. And so how do we actually meet, Craig?
So 4.5, 5 years ago, the season of COVID was starting, and that was devastating for myself as an entertainer, as it was for most entertainers, because at that time we had 6 months of tickets sold at our theater. I had to refund them all, let all the staff go. I had to all the shows canceled, and I went from being quite busy to having zero income. And I'd always had it in the back of my mind that I'd like to flip a house. I'd watch the do-it-yourself shows on television. And so I started doing a lot of research on the internet. And for about 2 weeks, I kept searching and studying and listening to podcasts. And then one magic day, I happened upon Gentry Real Estate's website, where Spencer Caldwell had a bunch of videos posted. And so I thought, oh, this is amazing. I called you up, Spencer, and you were so friendly. You said, yeah, come on in and meet with me. And so my wife and I went in, and you laid out a plan that of how to do it. I think you explained that we needed to buy our home at about 25% below retail in order to make a profit. You kind of explained some of the strategies. And I was such a novice then. It's hard to believe that just 3 weeks ago, I sold my 19th house in 4 years, 4.5 years.
Yeah, that's crazy. I thought that we met up because of from a friend. So it was honestly just through Google.
Yeah, I found you on the internet and I called you. However, there was a connection because you were from Snowflake and I'm from St. John's, which is right next door.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of family in Snowflake that knows your family really well.
Yeah.
And including 2 brothers that have lived there and uncles and aunts. And so when we came in and meet, we were talking about all these people that we knew in common. So maybe that's why you're remembering that.
That's pretty cool.
Connections, yeah.
So Craig's the type of magician that's like, honestly, you guys, that sits up on a unicycle, puts duct tape around his eyes, and is like juggling swords. He does the coolest, absolute, most amazing things. And like a lot of us, I mean, he had this absolutely really cool show and talent, and COVID happens, and then we're just obviously just totally shut down, and everyone's kind of redefining themselves and trying to figure out, what do we do next, right? And that was not an easy time for anyone. What made you think, like, hey, I've got to get out and do something else besides being a magician? When was that moment? When did that happen?
It had been weighing on my mind for even a little bit before COVID, if I'm really honest. I've been thinking about it, and I'm not even sure why, other than maybe there's a little bit of providence in my life. And I literally had never had another job. And flipping houses is really different than being a magician. And yet it was kind of on my mind, and I just started. I had the desire,
Yeah.
and when I met with you, I realized that I could turn that desire into reality. I was amazed. What I was amazed about is you were a one-stop shop. I could go to your services, find the property, finance the property, and even sell the property with some of the real estate people.
Yeah.
And it was a one-stop shop, and you didn't even have to really be that great at it. You just kind of had to have the desire. And I'm not trying to say in any way that it's easy, because it's not. It's a tremendous amount of hard work, and you have to really pay attention to the numbers and work hard and make sure that everything gets done properly and in a timely manner. But it's doable,
Right.
if you're willing to work hard, and it is hard work.
No, it is hard work. That for you just to like be able to just say, hey, I'm going to do this, just kind of self-taught, is like absolutely amazing to me. What kind of advice, like people that are looking to get into flipping houses, what kind of advice can you give them?
Sure. Number one advice is, whenever you start any venture, is give yourself at least a year or two. And even if your first project doesn't go that well, there's a learning curve, and you'll learn a ton. So I know in my first house, I did make a profit, but it was pretty small. It was like $6,000 or $7,000, and that was not really that great for as hard as I worked for those 2 months. It was actually not great at all. But I learned so much, and I made so many mistakes. And so my first advice would be, don't give up after just one venture. You really need to give yourself a little bit of time. It wasn't until my third house that I really kind of everything started lining up and clicking. The project was going well. I was fast, and things got done quickly. But I would say, you've got to find good people to talk to. The people that help you, your contractors or your subcontractors. Your real estate agent's absolutely critical, and you got to spend a lot of time really trying to understand your market and the neighborhoods that you're going to work in.
Yeah.
Like I decided for myself that I wasn't going to try to flip a house that was more than like 15 miles from my home.
Oh, did you?
Pretty much, yeah, that limited me to Tempe, Gilbert, Chandler, Mesa, and one in Apache Junction.
Right.
And that was actually very useful to me, because as I started studying, I started figuring out all the neighborhoods. I could kind of tell, you start understanding things. I also went onto Zillow and created all sorts of searches that would email me every day all these parameters. And I would spend a half hour just looking to see what are houses selling for right now.
Right.
And the houses that are selling, what do they look like inside? And what are the features? And so I tried to make myself as informed as I could about the markets.
Yeah.
And and when you're financing with hard money, you really need to do it quickly. And the faster the better.
Right.
You need to turn it around quickly. And so it's important to have a plan and to understand the order in which to do things, like demolition, plumbing, electrical, floors, all of the things that you do, your textures, your finishes, and really kind of have it clearly laid out and lined up. And you got to be on top of your contractors. Let the people that are working for you share your dream with you. I would let people know that, hey, this has got to work for me. And they kind of became on my team.
Yeah.
And when it started becoming really successful, I would send bonuses to all these people.
Oh, cool.
Thank you. And now it's like I call them, they drop everything to come and work for me.
Huh.
Because they know I'll take care of them. I'm kind to them. And I always have the supplies they need. And that's pretty invaluable.
That's
The
pretty
other thing
cool.
I'd say is live the golden rule in your work.
Yeah.
I as I started my projects, I always said, how would I want it to be? If this were my home and it had, let's say it had the old cast iron pipes under the floor,
Right.
would I want those there? No, I would not, because I know that they've got a 50-year lifespan on them if you're lucky. And so I figured out how to rip those things out and put in new ones. And it's not that hard. I bought a concrete saw and a jackhammer, spent about $2,000 on it. I could pay one of my laborers about $400 to do it, or I could hire it done for $20,000.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to figure out how to do stuff that get things done.
That's pretty cool. I never thought of the concept to give your contractors a bonus. If you do well, give them a bonus, and that's an interesting concept. So before we go any further, I know that some people are going to have to hop off, and some are getting on late. So I'm actually doing this event tonight to promote my freedom foreclosure. Excuse me, foreclosure freedom. Foreclosurefreedom.co. So I'm doing a really cool event June 8th. Craig will be there. You can meet him and ask him questions on how he's become successful as a self-taught flipper. So foreclosurefreedom.co. Please go there, take a look at the event. It's going to be at my office here. I'm going to spend a full Saturday with you guys, and so I'm excited to meet you guys and spend some more time with you. So, Craig, so one thing that's unique about you, and not everyone does this, is you do a lot of your own work when you're fixing these houses, right?
I do. I like working with my hands, and I like being in there with the people that are working with me. I find that everyone that's working with me works 3 times as hard if I'm there working really hard with them.
Yeah.
I always buy everyone lunch. I send people out on donut runs or whatever, and try to keep it as fun as possible. Make sure there's nice music playing, and I try to create a nice environment. But yes, it's true. I love tools. Since I started this process, I've purchased 2 F-250 trucks. I bought
Nice.
a large dump trailer. I have an enclosed trailer now. I have, hoppers for spraying texture on the wall.
Wow.
And I don't try to do the electrical. I don't try to do the plumbing. But I've got a great plumber and a great electrician that are so happy to work with me because I make their life pleasant and easy.
Right.
And there's all sorts of ways that you can cut costs as you're flipping the house, make it really beautiful, but not spend a ton of money. And so I have found that being there has been really useful.
And that's pretty cool. So, I mean, being a magician and working with your hands and stuff, it's kind of hard for you to get out of the probably to get out of the habit of like being like physically and there working with your hands, right? I mean, is there going to come a time to where you feel like, hey, I'm not going to be there on site because you're flipping more than one at a time?
Yeah, and I have done that. I've actually turned projects over to other people and had them do it. And I recognize that that's the way that you scale a business.
Yeah.
But for myself, I'm pretty happy. Just as you know, we do 1 or 2 at a time, and I'm pretty happy just kind of keeping it at that level for myself.
Yeah.
I've never lost money on a flip, and they've always worked out really well for me. And I think part of that is because I'm pretty hands-on with it.
Right. What how many have you done since you started? How many do you remember how many houses you flipped?
Oh yeah, I just sold my 19th house.
19,000. And doing one at a time, you've done 19?
One or sometimes 2 at a time.
One or
Yes,
sometimes two.
Since COVID, yes, that's
Since
correct.
COVID. Do you remember what
Yeah.
month and year you started?
Oh gosh. I think it would have been like March or April of 5 years ago. Was that 19 when it started?
Yeah. But 19 in 5 years for basically a one-man band doing a lot of the work for yourself that's that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been like 4 a year or so.
For a year or so. That's really that's a great turn. So are you, I mean, you're still have would you call this your now job, or are you still performing and doing magic?
This is definitely um, this is definitely my um, this is more my thing now.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could ever afford to be a magician anymore now that I figured out how to make this kind of money.
Unless you got a contract in Vegas, but it might be
Well,
equal, huh?
the truth is I'm really busy doing magic shows now. I do them all the time, but it hasn't interfered with my house flipping because I can do both.
Right. I just lost your video, Craig, for whatever reason. I don't know if you bumped it. Oh, we can't see your face.
Oh, I don't, I'm not sure what happened there. I'm so sorry.
No worries. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. For some reason, we lost your video. Are you still logged in to your Zoom?
Let me look here. See if I can pull it up.
Sorry, guys. Craig is it?
It's trying to pull up.
Okay. Craig is an amazing magician and an amazing flipper, but okay, we see you. You're pulled back up. Cool.
Okay.
Let's see if we can see your face.
I see you, but
All right. No worries. Oh, there you go. You got it. You're becoming a pro at Zoom too now.
I know. Fantastic. Sorry about that.
No worries. That's pretty cool. So 19 properties that you've done, one or two at a time, which is just amazing. How many years have you been a magician?
I did my first magic show when I was I don't know, 6 years old.
6 years old?
By the time I was 13, I had a hour-long stage show, and I actually won a scholarship juggling torches during the halftime show with the flag girls out on the football field.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then being a good Mormon boy, I did my mission, and they sent me to Boston, where I first saw street performers. We don't really have them here in Arizona. There's some of the best street performers in the world from places like Faneuil Hall or Boston Common. Anyway, I would when I came back to go to school at ASU, I started going down on Mill Avenue, like tied rope up between two trees. I'd get up on the rope and juggle fire and pass my hat.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and besides making money, I would learn how to entertain people. And by the time I graduated, I was so happy with my magic. I never applied for my area of study, which was a degree in business.
Right.
And I spent the next 10 years street performing quite a bit all over the place, including a lot of festivals all over the place.
Right.
And then I discovered corporate shows, and I do a lot of that work now, and people fly me all over. I just booked a show in Maui.
Oh, really? They're gonna fly you to Maui to perform?
Yeah, to do my show. And so it's been a great life. But if I'm really honest, it's I always have a beautiful home, a beautiful family, 6 kids, and everything's good. But I wasn't really getting ahead, not until I discovered real estate. And the stuff Spencer taught me was invaluable. I've called him many times for advice and talking about various projects. And I wish that I had been able to attend the seminar that you did on the 8th when I first started, but you didn't have that. All you had was all these videos posted.
Yeah.
And so I watched all the videos and paid really close attention. But I'm really excited to go see what I can learn, because honestly, I'm still starting too. And I have a lot to learn, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the cool thing about real estate is we never ever will arrive, right? For what we are doing. There's just so many different areas of real estate, and it's pretty amazing. You can always be learning, no matter how young or old you are in real estate. That's what I love about it. Every day is just totally different. I see something new every single day. In fact, well, actually, my book, Buying Arizona Foreclosures, is back there in the window. I actually have a chapter of all the firsts that I wrote down my whole career until I wrote that book. There's just all the firsts that happen every single day. There's a first of seeing this or a first of seeing that, which is pretty cool. So, so you guys, Craig, basically being a one-man band, you heard him, has flipped 19 properties since COVID. It's absolutely amazing. we're going to teach a lot of these things at foreclosurefreedom.co. So make sure that you guys sign up for foreclosurefreedom.co June 8th. I invited Craig to come. And Craig, are you going to be able to make it June 8th?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as I found out it was happening, I brought that up. I even had people offer me magic shows on the day, and I said, hell no.
Oh, man.
I'm going to go to this event. I'm so excited.
Oh, shoot. Well, that being said, I haven't asked you this yet, but if you guys do come to the event, are you going to be able to give me at least 5 or 10 minutes of your time to show a few magic tricks?
Twist my arm, maybe. Anything for you, Spencer. I've told you a million times. You single-handedly have helped me to become a very well-off individual, and
wow.
I would do anything for you. You know that.
Well, I appreciate that.
That's a small thing to ask. I'm just excited to be there.
Okay, cool. We're gonna learn a lot. Bringing in a friend, Sensei, who's actually my number one mentor when I first started real estate 20 years ago from California, and he's gonna be actually teaching a lot of the time. And I'm excited to hear from him and what he's up to. And you guys, if you come to foreclosurefreedom.co, you're going to see some magic tricks from our very own Craig. And I wonder, you know, people when they listen to you saying, "Hey, I flipped 19 houses in 5 years," has anyone ever said it's because you're a magician? You know, you're just pulling this out of thin air. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
All the time. They see me working hard. Like, why don't you just use magic to do that?
Well, it is kind of magic what you've created for sure. I think it's really, really cool. So, you know, Craig's actually performed at once a year. I get together. I invite everyone, like every single person, like all of my agents, all of my current investors, past investors, anyone that's ever done a deal. If you're on my email list or Twitter, I invite everyone to a once a year party, and it's at Caldwell County. So that's it's one of my restaurants, and we have this big party. And Craig usually shows up and does magic, and we actually did like a full on show for us one year, which is just absolutely amazing. So you guys definitely need to come to that show, or excuse me, come to that. It's at Christmas time. So Craig, so 19 flips. Your first one, you said you only made 6 or 7,000, right?
That's correct.
And you've never lost on one?
Not yet.
It's pretty good. He didn't listen to me, because usually when people come to me and say, "Hey, I've never flipped houses, you know, tell me what to expect," I always say, "Hey, look, out of 10 houses that you're going to flip, most likely you're probably going to lose on 2 houses and gain on."
I remember you saying that. I remember saying, nope.
You're going to gain on 8. So that being said, I can't believe you haven't lost on any, which is just amazing. I'm knocking on wood for you also. So you know, he said, I've always told people that, like, "Hey, where should I buy? Like, what zip codes are the best?" And I've always told everyone, like, "Hey, there's no certain gold in any type of zip code. Like, go anywhere and everywhere if you can buy it cheap enough." But you've lived to a couple rules within your business of flipping, and one of the number one rules is within 15 miles of your house, right? What are some of the other rules that you've lived beyond to make sure that you've made money on 19 flips? What are some of the other things that you've lived with?
You know, I don't know if there are rules to make sure I make money, but my number one rule is, of course, the golden rule: do unto others as you'd have to do. I really feel strongly that I am blessed because my houses are done the way I would do them if I were going to move into them.
Yeah.
I don't cut any corners, and I've spent a lot of money doing things that I probably didn't have to do and could have made a bit more money. But I honestly believe that God or the universe or whatever that smiles on you and blesses your efforts if you treat other people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
That's number one.
That's great. That's pretty cool. That's a great advice, Greg. So tell me, as far as these properties, you know, there's people out there that have known me forever and haven't worked with me. There's probably people on this call that would love to get into the business, but like, I don't even know where to start. Like, where did you start? Like, how did you pick up the property? Was it auction? Was it wholesale? How did you get that first property? How did you just get going?
Sure. So I signed up for your email list, and I would pour over them. I would look at each house, And for a while, I would write down the addresses of each of those houses. Then I would go to my resources just on the internet, like Zillow or any of those sites, and I would see what they said about it. And then I would look at the neighborhoods, what those were selling for. And then I would check back with them like a month or two later and see, well, what actually happened. And I was kind of spending a lot of time on it, and I was looking for the best deal that I could. And I kept calling you, and after the first week, I was a little discouraged because I hadn't found anything that quite felt like it worked for me. And you said, this week we're going to find something. And I kind of learned that you need to make decisions quickly.
Yeah.
And so that first house, I went and saw it, and I called you, and within 3 minutes said, okay, it's yours.
Right.
Which was kind of cool because you didn't have any money from me or anything. There's kind of a lot of faith going on.
Right.
And then I showed up the next day with my portion of the money, but it was kind of amazing to have a partner like you to help make it all come together. Laura Kirby helped me with the financing, and then I just went to work on it. On that very first house, I'll be honest, I took a nap, a sleeping bag over there for a few nights so that I could really work hard. And I did. I worked really hard and turned it around, sold it. But I was elated because I made some money.
Yeah.
The next house was a little better. It was that first house, I did so many dumb things. I can't even tell you how many dumb things I did.
Yeah.
But I learned from it. The next house, I did better. But it wasn't until my third house that I really had, where it wasn't just a job, but it was an investment. Because for the first two houses, it was kind of like, yeah, I would have made that same money if I was just working for someone else.
Right.
I learned so much. On that third house, then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, 30 days just went by, and I made more money in that 30 days than I made in the last year as a magician.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And it wasn't until about house 11 that I stopped having to use hard money.
Yeah.
I built up the amount of money so much, which then increased my profits even more. Your return on investment with hard money is incredible. So don't misunderstand. I'm a big advocate of using hard money because you put up a small portion, they put up a big mortgage, and the amount of money that you can make as a return is huge. But I found that after time, I really liked being able to finance myself because it took the pressure off me having to do it so quickly.
Right.
And so that was the big thing that I did.
That's a big day. That's a big day when you could just buy it cash rather than using hard money. That's a big day in an investor flipping world. That's a huge day. That's awesome.
It was a big day, and I'm so incredibly grateful that I got turned on to this. And I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't met you. I almost shudder to think about it.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, it's not me. Definitely, I provide data and opportunities, and
Are you kidding? You figured it out how to find the house, finance the house, and sell the house, and give you all the information along the way. That's one-stop shopping.
That's good. That's good.
That's pretty incredible.
Well, thank you, Craig. So guys, foreclosurefreedom.co, take a look at it. I got just a few more questions for Craig, and then I'll let you go, Craig. But he mentioned something about you've got to make decisions quickly. And in this world of wholesale and auctions, you do have to make decisions quickly. And sometimes that's where your greatest losses or your greatest wins can come by, right? Is just making decisions quickly. So it's obviously worked out for Craig. And you've really just got to trust yourself and trust the process and trust the house and the area. And it's interesting. He had this learning curve from 1 to 3 where he gained a lot more confidence in house number 3 and made a bigger return in that. So have you, through building up your flips, have you got into the rental game and bought any rentals yet?
Well, one of the houses that I flipped, I sold it to my daughter, Ivy.
Yes.
And she's a 25-year-old girl. And we made the house, we added I guess you'd call it a non-suite, a mother-in-law suite. And that little place, she Airbnbs it, and it covers her mortgage for her entire payment.
Oh, cool.
And I'm so excited I was able to do that for her. but to answer your question for myself, I've only ever had one rental.
Yeah.
This entire time, and that I rent, and so no, I really haven't gotten into that. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, everybody talks about getting into rentals, and I know that that's really great, but I just kind of I like the process of making it really nice, and then okay, someone else.
See you later. Let's see you later. Well, one of these times you're gonna have to do some rentals to get a tax break and figure that out.
We've talked about it. And you've encouraged me to do that, so that's something that maybe at the seminar we'll learn about that. And
That's cool. Yes, rentals are good. Have you done everything under an LLC for the most part?
Yes. So when I initially met with you, you advised that. I went straight to the bank. I set up an LLC, got a tax license. I now have a couple of different accounts under my business name at my bank. So if I'm doing multiple houses, I do one house through one account and then the other house through another account so that the money never switches. I can really keep an accurate accounting of how I'm doing.
Okay, cool.
But yes, everything's done. You have to have a business name in an LLC.
Right. Did you not have one for the first couple, or did you start right off with
I
the?
did.
You did.
When I went and met with you, you laid out a plan for me. You said go get an LLC, so I did.
Okay, cool.
And that was the first thing I did. I mean, the next day I was making it happen. A lot of people don't know this, but you can go to your bank, and a lot of times they will help you create an LLC and a business account.
Hey, that's pretty cool. Is that what you did?
Yeah. So Chase so far has set up, I think, 4 LLCs for me. I just went in and said, "Hey, can you help me with this?" And they're like, "Sure, love to."
Yeah.
And they didn't charge anything for it. It's just.
And they helped you set your LLC up.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I've actually never heard that, you guys. So if you don't have an LLC, go to your personal banker and ask them if they will personally help you set up your LLC and what to do and where to go from. That's actually really good advice. Well, that's cool. Craig, for anyone out there, I mean, we've got some major flippers on the line, which is cool. Thank you guys for joining. Some super educated and super power hitters, and I'm sure we have some beginners also. What advice can you give out there for the beginners just looking to get into to flip a house? What advice can you give them?
The number one thing I would do is spend some real time understanding the market that you're going to get into. You mentioned you need to make decisions quickly, and you can make decisions quickly if you know what a bargain is. And
right.
If you haven't looked at houses, you won't know what a bargain is when you see it. And so I think that would be my number one advice: is make yourself smart enough that you recognize what a good opportunity is. There's so much to learn. Like if you have a house that has a lot of square footage, can you but only has 3 bedrooms, can you add a 4th bedroom? That's a way to add value. There's a lot of little tricks like that, but things that you learn along the way. But I would say, first and foremost, be able to recognize a bargain, because you're really going to make your money in your buy, not your sell.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, good. I'm going to end up here, guys. If you guys have any questions for Craig, he is an amazing source of knowledge and has done amazingly well at flipping houses. I mean, 19 houses since COVID is amazing. And I know a lot of you guys flip houses and do really well and buy a lot of houses from me. I don't always hear how you do. So one thing I have appreciated about Craig is he'll come back basically and give me a high five and say, "Hey, I did well on this house.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do another one." So
I'm reporting back to the master. I do. I always tell him every time.
So I appreciate that about you, just filling me in and let me know. So you guys, I would love you to hear from Craig, to see some of his magic, and shake his hand at foreclosurefreedom.co. Come join us. I would love to have you there. We're going to spend a full Saturday with you and teach you more about flipping houses and about real estate and everything. So thank you so much for joining me this Monday. I want to say it's Tuesday already, but it's just Monday. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys. You guys are awesome. Reach out to my cell phone if you need anything, anytime. And let's get together again soon. So Craig, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Spencer. I'm excited to see you on the 8th.
All right, cool. Well, we'll see you soon. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Have a good night.